Yeah, I feel like I haven't done this in a while. Feels.
Yeah, let's talk. Do we want to talk about it? Like how we feel right now?
Yeah. I'm tingly.
In all places.
You know,
I will say that. I'll jump in. I'll say this.
You go ahead.
This is me and you personally, our first week back streaming in like 2.5 months. I am jacked and energized, and I feel creative. I feel ready. You know, it was like I didn't know what to do. I was like John Travolta in the Pulp Fiction meme, like just walking around doing my hands up. I don't know what to do when I'm not streaming and playing a game and creating in a sense, you know. So it just feels really good to be back, and I'm super stoked. And if you missed it on the channel, when I say we're back, we played Curse of Strahd on Sunday, and we did a one shot on Monday. So, yeah, I'm happy.
Me too. I'm excited. I mean, so I posted this on Twitter. Experiencing a small case of burnout, we decided to take a hiatus with some of our stuff. We had some fallout. And we probably put that game on hold indefinitely, which is unfortunate. But after playing Curse of Strahd and then DMing what we're here to review, which we'll get into, it was so good. It felt so good to be back. I feel like it was that level we were looking for. Yeah, and it was good. It was a good time.
Yeah. It's. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's just I felt a renewed level of energy.
Felt
not just
balance
like
in the force.
Yeah, just not in the games that we were playing, but even at work. Like I got a little skip in my step, and the days go by a little faster because I got stuff like this to look forward to. But anyway, let's jump in. Let's take care of some housekeeping. We could wax poetic for all day, but let's get into the business side of things. We are FeatherFall TableTop, and this is our talk show that kind of is a hit and sometimes with what's going to happen, but we're happening tonight. This is Table Talk. We're going to talk about some stuff, but where you can find us is pretty much anywhere on the internet at FeatherFall TableTop, Twitter, Discord down below. Get that link fired up. We have games on Twitch all the time. So like I said, we have Sunday coming up on the 12th is Session 2 of Curse of Strahd, which I am DMing. Bob is a player in there. There are three other players. I don't even know how many there are. There are four other players. God, usually we play with games of 4 players, but there are 5 in this one, and they're all super awesome. It was so much fun. So Session 2 is coming up Sunday. We got The Gods We Know on Tuesdays in their spot, locking down that Tuesday time slot. We got stuff like this, the Table Talk, when stuff is appropriate to talk about. One-shots every other week, and those are community-based. If you're not getting enough tabletop role-playing in your life, join our Discord down below. Let us know you want in a one-shot. We will hook you up in a game and get those going. Right now, they're every other week. But, as the demand rises, who knows? They could come into a weekly thing. DMs, as long as we can get the DMs for them. But that is what happened on Monday, and that is why we're here on a Thursday, is because we are going to review the one-shot module that was run on Monday from the Arcane library called Masque of the Worms. And if you don't know much about the Arcane library, you want to fill in what that is exactly?
Yeah, so the Arcane Library, which is, you do a quick Google search, it's the Arcane Library. It's a group of people that, I actually don't know how many are there, to be honest, but they are a group of people that write supplementals, one-shots, modules for D&D 5th edition. You can find them at thearcanelibrary.com. And this particular one came in a bundle of 4 called the Bundle of Horrors. And in that bundle, it had Masque of Worms, Valley of the Gilded Tower, Crypts of Azurum, I believe is how it's said. And then I believe The Watchers in the Dark. I don't want to go too far into it. We do have some other announcements. So, Chris, if you want to...
Yeah. I will say if you go and join their mailing, you get free adventure called the Temple of the Basilisk Cult.
Yep.
So, I mean, get you some, if you're looking for something to run for level 1 characters, go do that. But yeah, so other things that you, well, let's get into our other sponsors. Like, not that we're sponsored by Arcane Library, but sponsors that we have on our channel. Whew, you can tell I'm rusty on the TableTalk. But anyways, Found Familiar Coffee is a sponsor of ours, and I am super excited that we found each other because they are just awesome people that are doing great things for the community, supporting local creators on the artistic side of things to put on the their coffee pouches. So that's great. They have given us a discount code, FeatherFall, in checkout will save you 10%, and they are Found Familiar Coffee. We are also sponsored by Skull Splitter Dice. They are putting out new dice all the time, so check them out. Again, we are lucky enough to have a checkout code there. FeatherFall gets you 10% off on some dice. And if you're looking for metal dice, you should. If you don't have metal dice, you should get metal dice and use Skull Splitter metal dice because they're the best.
Yeah, metal dice are hands down the best.
It's hard to go back. It's hard to go back to the poly dice with once you got the metal. So those are the people who show us love and help us out, and
we in
by
turn
that they
try to
help
show
you
them
out.
love too.
Yeah. So check them out, please. That's it. That's housekeeping. So we are here to review this module, the Masque of the Worms. I want to call it the Masque of Worms, but it's Masque of the Worms. And this was, like I said, run on. So if you are hoping to be a player in this, obviously this is spoiler filled. So don't use that to your advantage.
Yeah, don't be that
person. Player. Yeah,
Nobody
but so like Bob said, this came in a 4-pack. And it was relatively inexpensive.
Yeah, it's on sale right now at thearcanelibrary.com for $10 for all 4. So $250 for a module.
$250. And this was a level 1, though there is one that I'm running March that is a level 3. So they're all over the place there. You get different.
Well, I believe they go from 1,
levels.
2, 3 to 4.
Okay, that would make sense. But so level 1, Masque of the Worms. What do we want to start with here?
We'll give a synopsis of it. So, I'll take this directly from their module. So the players begin in the. Oh, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do it that way, anyways. It's not as appealing to the ear holes. Well, so synopsis is you are asked by the Baron of land wherever, and so this is where the fun adventure hooks for your campaign can be. And I will say you can move this and adjust the difficulty as much as possible or as little as possible, however you want to do it. But you're asked by the Baron to investigate where his wife went. He fears that something may have happened to her. She went to a Masque raid party. And it was 2 nights ago. So you will ask the players ahead of time how you know the Baron and what you do with that. And then from there, you travel there, quick travel, and you search the grounds for what may have happened here. And that's where the fun kind of comes in of it's this very spooky feel, and it has a lot of great flavor text in there. Mm-hmm. So quick synopsis, done.
Yeah. Love it. It's an adventure hook that is easy to get in and moving.
Yes.
Right. Somebody's missing. Go check it out.
I agree.
It's not complicated. It's like let's get down to business. Right.
And this is a side quest you can put into any game.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the land is nondescript enough you could put it wherever you want, and it's a fun 1 session thing. So I will say I DM'd it, and so that's the synopsis. Let's start with the DM prep. DM prep on this was, I probably put, including adding all the images to the Roll20 campaign, probably about 4 to 5 hours into it. So what I really love about how this prep works and how this module works is that it is very differently written than a lot of the other modules I've ever seen, because it's just quick bullets. So it's quick bullets of this, 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 and this. Okay. Then this happens, and then transition.
Yeah.
So it I don't know, Chris. And
they give it, on page 3 of this module, they give kind of their definition of this pacing and transition. So a dramatic question is presented with most scenes. And I guess we should say, like, each page in this, once you get into the adventure, is its own encounter. And not encounter in the sense that you're getting into combat and rolling initiative, but there is something, you're going to be given something, a task, and you need to accomplish that to move to the next page. And it's not like rigid and set in stone that has to happen, but it's just very clear to the DM that this is, read this and this, and you're able to kind of fill in the middle. And it's nice to keep things moving. And so they say a dramatic question is presented with scenes. Once that question has been answered, the tension of the scene is resolved. That's your cue to work towards the transition, which is at the bottom right hand of every page. That kind of tells you where you are going next. And it's kind of nice. It's like that choose your own adventure books. It's like you go to page 89 or page 72, right? So it tells you, if this happens, go here. If this happens, go there. So it keeps that time from flipping back and forth and wondering where you're, which I think is great.
I will say, in this small of an adventure, it's really very linear in the fact that if you're here, you're going to go here. And so one of the things that I really like is that they add really good flavor text. So Moldovia Manor. This is once the party arrives at the place where the masquerade ball happened. The weathered, gloomy manor sits among dense, sickly trees. Mold and moss collect along its stone walls and under the eaves. High, tall windows ring the manor's walls. The wooden front door is closed. Stables and additional housing lurk along tree-covered paths behind the manor. A dark pond next to the manor ripples in the chilly wind. So how this is set up is, one, it's going to give you the very intro to the scene, which is great. So quick flavor text, love it. We've talked about that on here before. I think it's excellent. But then it's going to, when you talk about the pacing, it'll say, this is the development. This is what happens during the scene. And it gives you a framework, a loose, skeleton of how this should be. But you as a DM, you fill in the rest. You use your imagination. You riff off the players. Yeah. And it's this nice back and forth that doesn't feel forced. And I will say, in this, everywhere that you guys went, I used the entire flavor text for. I used the entire page for. And so there's no wasted energy, which is what's really nice. Now, when you compare it to like and this isn't a fair comparison because it's a one-shot versus a full module. Compared to Waterdeep, I used maybe a quarter of the book.
Right. And
this, I used 100% of where you went. You didn't go to one place, so I used 95% of it, which is great.
I love the way that they break things out in bullet points. And that's something they talk about at the beginning of this, is in their pacing and transition, is like, they say room descriptions that are usually long blocks of read-on text have been left short and informational in this adventure. So they break it down in bullet points, and they're very good in choosing what to bold. So exactly, like in what you just read, Bob, was you could pick it out. So you got the house, you got the stables, you got the bunkhouse up top. You could pull those things out easier, and it's not so long-winded that you feel handcuffed.
Right.
It gives you enough, and then that you as a DM can flex your muscles and elaborate even more if the players are calling for that, or you leave it as is.
Well, and so in what I read, that chunk, what was bolded was manor, windows, door, housing, stables, and pond. So if people ask about it, guess what? A quick visual reference to it right there.
Yeah. And that's nice, because sometimes and this isn't a dog on Wizards of the Coast or anything, but sometimes those texts do get rather lengthy, and just you get lost in a sea of words, where this is just being very concise and to the point, and I love the fact that they're letting the DM take control of it and giving them some
sounds like lazy DM, where I know you're probably joking because I know who you are personally. It's not, and it's more efficient prep. So when you talk about lazy DMing is not knowing your material and not understanding everything that is with this module. I understand everything that's with this module, and I have the ability to fill in that framework, which is part of the 4 hours of prep. It doesn't really, like, I over prepped for this because I didn't have a lot to do. You could prep for this in an hour because it gives you what you need.
For sure.
But the 4 hours of prep, I'm ahead of time filling in this loose framework with more intricate, lines of what should happen. So I started off the encounter or the module with the Baron. I filled in almost all of that context ahead of time. And you don't have to. I mean, you can do it all off the cuff, and it's this improv back and forth. But this is more efficient DM prep rather than the nonsense of, and sorry, that's not fair, the gobs of words that come with the, a Wizards of the Coast manual. And why I say that is because, and I ripped on Waterdeep from start to finish, because you have to read the entire book before you can play. And this you don't, because it's very clear about what's important, what's not important, and then what you should focus on.
Yeah, so, and this is throughout this module here is that kind of setup. So you're able to get the gist of a page and then be able to run the whole page. And like you said, Bob, you used all of that information on the text or on that page, but it was never like, I feel like it was never a daunting task. I've read through another one of these, so I've kind of, they're set up the same way, so I kind of know where you're at. But what's nice is it's not daunting. You can work through it, and it's on one page. So you're not flipping back and forth going like, ooh, crap, this room is contained on 2 pages. Right. Now I got to go back and forth. It's all just right there on one page, so you got it right in front of you. And I'm a hard copy kind of guy, so I'd like to have that print out in front of me, and I have that page, and I know everything that they could deal with is within the bounds of this page. And I think it's a really smart way to do it.
I agree. And so I think do you have anything else you want to add to the formula of how they structured this?
No, I think I fully endorse what they're doing here. I really appreciate the brevity that they give it, but then the room for expansion. And
I will say this is an easily repeatable formula for anybody who's looking to write a module. This is a great formula to use if you want to write something. So you don't have to be this amazing wordsmith to do this. You just need to be clear and concise in what these bullets are and give the framework. The DMs, that's our job. And that's where the lazy DMing isn't there, because you as a DM, you're instantly doing that. But so let's move on to the story a little bit. So the story of this is fun. It's creepy. It's I would say this is a very good, Halloween-ish story, which would be perfect for a Halloween one-shot. The best way to just one word describe this is Poe-esque. And it has several references from Edgar Allan Poe, from, I would say, 2 to 3 different stories that we picked up on just playing it and reading it. The first one is Telltale Heart. So just to kind of understand the story a little bit, the Count went... So, again, spoilers abound in this entire thing. The Count killed his father, Fortunato, which is another reference. Killed his father, Fortunato, buried him in the basement, and then he was driven mad by the heartbeat. So instantly, Telltale Heart. We all know it. It's great. It's fun. It's a great reference. I love Edgar Allan Poe and everything he's done. And then the other reference is Fortunato, which is from
Cask of Amontillado.
Amontillado. I get stuck on that last name.
And there's several references to the Cask of Amontillado. I mean, the wine in the... There's a Montresor in this character. The Montresor is in here as well. So there are those definite ties.
And you cut out a little bit. It was the wine in the cellar. And I will also say...
Wine in the cellar.
The drunk guy in the entryway was drinking Amontillado wine, which
yeah.
clearly we
And
know what it is.
if you've read the Cask of Amontillado, you know that's like the best wine, and that's what he uses to lure people into the cellar, or Fortunato into the cellar. But there's also like the Masque of the Worm, Masque of the Red Death, right? There's that correlation there. Something is there. But they even open on the first page. They give you a quote from Edgar Allan Poe and Eleonora, and I think there's a character called Eleonora in this module. They who dream by day are cognizant of things which escape those who dream only by night. So there's tons of tie-ins to this Edgar Allan Poe guy.
Yeah, some weirdo. Nobody's heard of him before.
We were talking before chat and kind of our thoughts on that. Is it low-hanging fruit to grab Edgar Allan Poe and use the tropes that he created? And I think we came up with the conclusion that no, it's not. It's very it's something, especially in a one-shot, quick hitter, that gets people primed. Like I've seen this before. I can run.
I'll also say it's fun because your like nostalgia sense is like, oh hey, look, I know this. And Eleanor was the Baron's wife, so that's who you're looking for. It was there, and at first I was like, this is just a shoo-in. This is just like, lazy writing. But then you think about it, it's not. It's fun. And it's something that will be like, oh, okay, this is that nostalgia you're looking for. And when you read a book like that, so Ready Player One was a shotgun of nostalgia in your face.
Yeah, there you go.
The entire time. And I think they kind of touch on that with this, and I like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, high school, which wasn't fun. But
It showed in our chat for the game is like, we were kind of sharing Edgar Allan Poe stories and we were like trying to point out the references. And I think something like this, it's perfect, man. It gets you, it builds that investment a little bit, especially if you're a Poe fan, which you should be. But I agree with it. I think it's well placed here, especially in the scene and the setting that they were building. And if you pair this with a Halloween time game, it's all like it thematically fits. It's all working together to create the experience.
I agree, and I think the prep isn't very hard on this. It's pretty slim. So if you ever have questions, you can always reach out to us at FeatherFall TableTop on Twitter, where our DMs are open. So if you want to shoot something there, I can help wherever I can. I would say this is a good story. It's fun. Do you want to go into the goods of this, or is there anything else story-wise?
Yeah, I mean, did we get through? I mean, I don't want to go through the whole story itself. I mean, that we'll leave some stuff up for you to kind of figure out and play through. Goods. I thought so. The quick hit of this, if you take nothing else, the goods of this are. The module is written extremely well. The story is fun. It's spooky. Characters are fun. They give you enough flavor text to roleplay the character so you know it enough. Good for me is you get 2 new monsters. I always like to see like the extra goodies that you get that you can then take into something else. You get 2 monsters. One is a conqueror worm and one is a worm fiend. Those were fun to fight against, so they weren't, like boring. You're getting a reskinned goblin or something. They were relatively fresh, at least for me, to fight against. And you do get a magic item, which is always kind of cool. I like
homebrew magic item. Yep.
You get to be able to take those and plug them into something else later on if you want. If you carry on this into a homebrew campaign, you have a special magic item. So I think those are pluses.
I'll also say goods, another good is they give you cards for everything. So we didn't use them because we're online, but they give you cards for the NPCs, monsters, and the items. More modules need to do that.
It's very in line with like the Essentials kit, the Dungeons & Dragons Essentials kit, where you're getting these printouts, these little cards that are mobile, right? You could set them up behind your screen and have it all laid out there.
Yes.
And which is nice because everything's on that one page, so there's not they have to be very choosy in what they could put on that page. So, but now you have these printouts that you can set up around you, and I think that's awesome. And that was one of the things I loved about the Essentials kit is those little sidekick cards and other cards. It's been a while since I thumbed through it, but there's that, and they're also thinking about you on the back end as they make a print version of this. So they kind of strip some of the color and the art so that you can print this out and have a hard copy in front of you and not be afraid to write it on it and highlight and stuff like that. So you get a lot for that $10. I go back to thinking this was only $10 for all of these.
$250 for one of these, which is
$250 for just this one, and you get all these cards. You get the printer friendly version and the art version, and like that's just an attention to detail that I appreciate.
I agree.
That you don't always get.
I agree, and I think we'll hit the overall. The bad there. This is very small for me, and I think it's just something that, maybe a better program. I think the thought process of it was very good, but I think the map that was provided is poor quality, and it's not. It doesn't say anything against Arcane Library. I will rant and rave about them forever. I think everybody should go support them. They could step up the map game just a little bit, and maybe not use Dungeon Painter Online. But it's a tool
especially like looking at the cover art, you're like, damn, that looks awesome. And then when we were displayed the map, it's like little let down there.
I agree.
But again, like we didn't use the map all that. I mean, we used it, but it wasn't like a point of emphasis. Like we had a pretty good group playing the game that was able to construct the scene in their head, and with your descriptions of the rooms, it's like, so the map was okay. It was cool to have, but I don't think it made or broke the game. It would be nice to have looking at all the other art.
Yes,
in here, there's some nice artistic pieces in here paired with the cover, and then you got the map. Like,
and so
again,
comparatively speaking, the good art with the okay map, it's like this. When you compare a Honda to a BMW, and you're like, oh, Honda's a good car still, but
get you to work.
It's functional. So overall, I will say this is 100% worth $10 for all four,
without a doubt.
So, if you break it down, $250 for this one, 100% worth it. I recommend it, and I will say a humble brag for me is I did reach out to Arcane Library and said, hey, we're running this, and they chimed in and watched this for a little bit, and they said that we as a team did a very good representation of what this module should be. So I feel like I have a good understanding of it. I feel like I understood their formula worked so well for my brain that it just clicked. And so I cannot recommend this enough. Everybody needs to go get this and just review. So we are going to play the other ones, which, Chris, I think yours is in March.
Yeah, mid-March, March 16th or 13th or something.
I do want to get the other two in there sometime, so we may do some off-cycle one-shots because, again, not a ton of prep, and I'm not DMing at the moment, so I'm bored. I may just do that.
And I endorse this 100% as well. Like I said, I've been prepping through the Crypts of Azurme. I hope I'm saying that right.
You're the worst.
I don't have it in front of me, but I've been prepping through, and it's like, it's easy prep, man. It's like, I'm done already. I've read through the thing. I've got, a good idea from point A to point B, and then now I feel better about riffing as a DM. Like how they say when you prepare a speech, don't memorize the whole thing, you just have bullet points. It's like, it's the same exact thing,
Right.
Don't prepare the whole module, just look at the bullet points, get the ideas, and be the DM that you could be, right? And I think that's awesome. That's a good, these are like training wheels almost, it's like it gets you DMing. So I will say we kind of skipped over the aftermath at the end of this module, is it does have future adventure hooks. So I like my homebrew prep brain is kind of going off here, and I'm like, so if you started with this, you got a pretty good base foundation for a home camp, a villain, some magical effects that are taking place that you can extend this into a mini arc for a homebrew campaign that sets you up in a world. I like it, man. If you are struggling for adventure hooks or places to start a homebrew thing, start with one of these, man. It's especially at level 1, you get to figure out your characters. You get because there's the echo. There's a condition that they can get.
Echo madness, I think.
Echo fever.
Echo fever.
That's something cool that can kind of.
Thanks,
sorry, that was. Stop. Yeah, I have it set to the E word, so it goes off. But sorry about that. But that's something cool that can radiate outside of this first game and keep afflicting your players. I think that's cool, man.
I'll say for me, I'm always looking for fun things to throw into the games, even if it's not a homebrew game. I threw it into Tomb. I threw it into Waterdeep. I find a lot of fun things that people have created because it's fun to highlight those to throw into games, and just adding small details like that Echo Fever, is so perfect for me.
Well, and something we didn't talk about with that fever was if your players and one of our players did this was like, man, my character would be scared. Well, this fever says you have them roll, right? They got to make if the players are showing that they are nervous or starting to feel weird or anything. So that's kind of cool. It's a layer action for level 1 characters. Like usually, like me as a player, I've never encountered a layer action.
Yeah.
Right, because I've never played up that high where those are normal things, where now you're kind of getting one early. And it's one that's not game-breaking or not going to kill your characters.
But it could be game-breaking.
Well, anything at level 1 could be game.
Yeah.
But it's something cool and more flavor than just hacking and slashing. You know, there's other things to do. And I think that, again, is good stuff.
So, I mean, I will say, you con save. If you fail 3 times, each failed save after the third inflicts a random form of long-term madness. And that, I started doing that at the end of Tomb because of just the seriousness of Tomb. That stuff's awful. Being
sorry. I'm going through the acknowledgments here. We probably should have read this. This adventure was inspired by the works of Edgar Allan Poe. It was written in partnership with the incredible Castle Mac crew for their live stream in the Edgar Allan Poe Museum in Richmond, Virginia, in August of 2018. I can't thank them enough for giving me this writing opportunity. So that's kind of cool. That's a little insight there.
Yeah.
So that makes a little more sense. They were playing at the museum, so why not
just all jump into it?
The Edgar Allan Poe that they could get. So that makes more sense. I appreciate them for that.
But I think it's great. I loved it. Recommended it. The other minor bad thing I would add, sorry, this is poorly functioned through here, is that this is a level 1 adventure. There are with any level 1 there's things that could kill you. This is extremely hard for level 1. I had to tone it back because it was so hard. So that is something to take in mind as the DM. If you DM this, maybe think about reducing some of the monsters' health. Maybe think about reducing some of the number of monsters, because it is very hard. Yeah. And I first hit crit, but failed on my attack dice. So
it was. Luckily, you rolled low on the attack dice. And like you said, be a DM that's aware, right? I would rather them make it a little more difficult and I can dial back than make it easy. And then it's easier to dial back than it is to add. I think, at least for me in my prep, like make it difficult and then I can dial. I can take I can lower their AC. I can have their hit points, whatever it may be. But I'm never adding. I always seem like, for whatever reason. But So just be aware, right? It could be a little difficult, but overall, so I think to kind of wrap this up, overall, we are super impressed and happy with the quality and the quickness in which you can get this on your table and play through. If you're new to 5th edition, like this is a perfect entry level game that gets you learning how to play the game. So do that, and if you don't, if our glowing review is not enough, join their mailing list, get that free copy of the Temple of the Basilisk Cult, and check that out. I mean, there's nothing to lose there. You get it for free, and it's a pretty cool cover art. It reminds me of the Jones Ride at Disneyland. So
yeah, it does.
It's got a nice artwork on there. Well done. So again, like I love it when a plan comes together. You know, it was so easy. It's like peanut butter and jelly, man. It just freaking worked. And we had so much fun, and that's where I could say we could throw out some love to the players that played with us. They were awesome, and they had awesome characters that were so much fun to play. I played in Aarakocra for the first time, which this is a perfect setting. You know, is like, why not? I was a vulture type Aarakocra, so it's kind of perfect, a carrion bird. So I had a blast doing it, and I can't wait to run through the other ones. So, Bob, any final words on this guy?
I think we're good. Go check it out if you haven't yet.
Do it. Just do it. Yeah. So that's it. We're FeatherFall Tabletop. This is the Table Talk. You can check us out anywhere. Twitter, FeatherFall TT, I believe. Right here on Twitch at FeatherFall TT. Discord down below if you want to play and want. Hey, if we get an inrush of people going, hey, sign me up for Arcane Library, we'll get those other ones filled ASAP and get those going. So if you want to join those one-shots, please check out our Discord. And, just have good conversations with us on the daily, as they say. You could check us out. We'll be back streaming here on this channel Sunday for Curse of Strahd Episode 2. And then no one-shot this coming Monday, but we do have The Gods We Know on Tuesday. And Table Talk's in the air. We'll see what happens there. Maybe some more Unearthed Arcana gets thrown away, or that book gets revealed. I don't know. We'll talk about it when it does.
It's supposed to be revealed today.
I thought they moved it out to the 13th or something.
Did they?
Either way, just check us out. And if you want to know always what we're doing, Twitter's the place.